Hey, Brandy.
Hey, Wanda.
Oh, it worked.
It's working.
It worked. It worked.
Do you do we want to send a link or something to someone else to see if
Yep,
they are able to view or comment or anything like that?
I'll send it to Pastor. Can you all check? Just help. I'm gonna go on mute for a minute.
Okay.
As soon as I figure out how.
Should
Oh,
be
I see it.
down at the bottom.
YouTube. Now I see you. Okay, and you can see Brandy? Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, I can see her name. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay, bye. All right. So Sierra was able to see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to see how it all worked. Because I've
Okay.
been, yeah. So Alice, or Mrs. Alice, I should say, she got on to show me how to use it. So
Okay.
um,
So were you able to see her when she was viewing?
yes, but we were on privately.
Who,
So
you and Sierra?
n- n- no,
No,
Sierra and
I'm
I were,
saying when you just said that she
no,
said that she could see you and see me.
I wasn't.
So that's what
Um,
I'm saying is how would
oh,
we know
yes, because
people
I
are
have,
looking?
like now it says one viewer, but I'm not sure if that's you.
Mm,
So
okay.
if someone's watching, can you please comment so we know that you're watching? We are new to StreamYard and we are practicing. But I really did want to talk about mental health stigmas.
Let's see. Mm,
So
no. Green screen.
come on in, come on in, come on in. Hold on a second. I'm going to put you on mute, Brandy. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, come on in, come on in. All right. Okay. Thanks. Okay, thanks. All right. Um, so I want to talk about mental health and stigmas. So do me a favor if you're watching now or if you're watching the replay, hit the thumbs up button. Please help us out. And let me give a little disclaimer like, yes, I am a licensed counselor, but this live is for educational purposes. All right. So, Brandy, you know, and for anybody that's listening, that this month is Men's Mental Health Month.
I did not know that.
Yes, it's Men's Health Month. Um, and unfortunately, for African Americans, for men and African Americans, um, our community, while we've gotten better. Hi, Miss Alice. How are you? How are you? How are you? Oh, you're watching from your TV? Okay. Thank you for watching. Um, Again, we're talking about mental health and men's mental health and the fact that African Americans, especially, and men, um, it goes unnoticed and unspoken a lot of times. What do you think, Brandy?
I would agree 1,000%. I think that men's mental health is not discussed enough. It's not supported. I'll even go as far as to say that men's emotions overall, in just general relationship, whether it's familiar, in the workplace, or romantic, they're not encouraged to share. Um, a lot of times it comes across, or they feel from the conversations I've had, that they don't feel that their emotions are valued, or that they really should even have emotions. Just show up and do, carry the weight. So
And
that,
that's because we brush it off a lot of
hmm
times, right?
yeah,
Um, if they show emotions, they're seen as weak,
yes,
right? Weak, they can't handle it. They need to man up.
hmm
And unfortunately, that's sad.
it is.
It's sad. And I should have looked at some statistics, especially on how many, because of, how can I say this? Um, I've been watching the other lives, and they say unalive, right? We
Hmm.
don't want men to start unaliving themselves, right? I would love to
Right.
know the number who unalive themselves
Hmm.
because of you know one, undiagnosed mental health
Hmm.
issues, right? Or
Yeah.
two, they're too afraid to speak out about their mental health for
Right.
fear of, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. In my industry, with the work that I do, I come across a far greater number of men, specifically veterans, which I know that that does put another spin or make them an outlier or what have you. But I come across more males than females that do suffer from mental illness or who have, you know, different variations and their struggles, and they're in outpatient treatment programs and things of that nature. And that's just literally in my 10 years of working in the field that I have probably come across two women to hundreds of males
That have unalived themselves, or that.
that have just struggled in general with mental health on that side that's nearing them unaliving themselves,
mm,
that they've struggled with attempts to do so and have went into those outpatient treatment centers or just have been in a constant state of working to get past that. I
right.
see that quite a bit.
Well, that's good that they're even going to therapy, because there's quite a few men who don't go seek help,
Mhm.
don't feel like they need.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a double-edged sword. It's an unfortunate that they get that, I guess, deep into it, or that bad off, for lack of a better word, that they're in those kind of programs. But then it's good because you get to see the progress. You get to see them walk through that and,
Right, right.
end up in our neck of the woods where they can become gainfully employed.
I wonder why it's so hard to talk about, for the most part, talk about mental health, especially if we ourselves are dealing with it and struggling, like such as depression, anxiety, and even
Hmm.
disorder. Why is it hard to have that conversation, right? Is it the perception of others, how others are going to view us? You know, do we fear not being believed?
I think so.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like you're
Um,
faking, or girl, you just want attention. There's nothing wrong with you.
some
You
people
just
say that. Yeah, when I was growing up, there was a lot of that. You know, there- there's nothing wrong with you. Again, you just want attention. You were just acting out. When you come
hmm
from a generation that kind of raises one generation as, you do as you're told, you're seen, not heard.
right, right,
Any
right,
variation of that is not really taken seriously. It's you're just part of your rebellion.
right.
And
And it's sad. Men may feel, "Ugh, I don't want to be seen as crazy," right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be seen as dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to judge me. And
Mm-hmm.
then if they're married, right, their wife thinking that they're weak,
Yeah.
or you know, I don't know, I don't
Yeah.
know, and don't let them be a Christian.
Yeah, it's then
Don't
you're
let them
kind
be
of
a
stuck in the
Jesus lover.
middle. You're stuck
You
in the
know,
middle of you just got to pray about it. And yes, you do have to pray about it, but sometimes you have to go seek therapy.
right,
Sometimes you do have to seek some medical treatment that requires you to take a pill to get you at a baseline to where you can deal with those things and start to work through it. So I
right.
think there's a lot of stigma and a lot of push and pull with people wanting to be accepted and not looked at as like being an outcast.
Right, right. And unfortunately, I think when I say we, society, we're the problem, right? Like, and I say that because we say things like, um, he's crazy or she's crazy. We use that, that type of language, even with the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and here in Michigan, one day it's hot, the next is freezing, right? And the
Yeah.
first thing we say is, "Oh, the weather is so bipolar."
No,
And
that weather is crazy. Yep.
right,
Yes.
that's like trivializing. Did I say that word right? Trivial, trivialize.
To realize.
Am I saying it right?
Yep.
Okay,
I think you're saying it right.
okay. Um, you know, people are really dealing with being bipolar, and here we are, and again, I'm including myself in that, making light of, like the weather being bipolar, which we know the
Right.
weather can be bipolar.
Yeah.
So,
And it's funny that you say that because I hear a lot of people put that label on people, and I don't think they have a full understanding of what bipolar mean because it's not a it is, but it isn't. It's more than just I'm going this way and now I'm going that way. They don't really
right.
understand it. It's a high and then it's a low.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And although it is an opposite,
Right.
just to take every single thing that's an opposite and apply the word bipolar to it
Right.
is,
They do the
you
same
know,
thing with OCD, right? They'll
mm-hmm.
say, "Oh, I'm so OCD. I'm so OCD. I don't like for my kitchen to be, messy."
Right.
And I said it because I'm a clean
Mm-hmm.
freak. I am, and I have said that. But
Mm-hmm.
OCD is the obsession
You can't
compulsive
function.
is so much more than
Yeah.
you want your dishes. You don't want dishes in your sink.
Exactly, it's more than that. Some people
Certain
literally they
people,
cannot function.
they
They get
cannot
yeah,
function.
they
They
can't get
cannot.
past they can't get out the door because they have to touch the doorknob 25 times
Right,
to get to the car.
right,
So,
right. And then once they get to the car, they got to go back and touch the doorknob.
mhm. Yep. And then when they hit the car, they have a whole nother ritual.
Right.
So, yeah, it's funny or it's interesting to see how
Hmm.
the little phrases are just mainstream and a lot of people don't have a clue what
Right,
they
right.
actually mean and how people actually struggle with those things who really have those diagnoses.
Hmm. Yeah. So I am training myself to stop saying stuff like, "Oh, that's just my OCD," or "That's
Hmm.
crazy," right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
because I don't know, the word crazy has like a negative connotation, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to be seen as crazy,
Right.
right? And because, if they have a mental health condition, they're going to keep it to themselves. I did look
Mm-hmm.
up a statistic that said about 50% of people that has a diagnosis, or I'm sorry, before they get a diagnosis, 50% of people who are struggling with their mental health refuse to go get help for fear of being labeled. That's sad. That's sad. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that these people
Yeah.
are not getting
And
help because people see them as
it
crazy.
is.
They may just, have a mental health condition that they need help,
Mm-hmm. And not
they need support.
right. And not in label, not even in a sense of in their connections with their family, with their friends, but even with their primary care. I think a few months ago, I came across a TikTok, and it was it was talking about how you shouldn't disclose, that you have depression or anxiety or anything like that if you are
Oh,
going to a medical professional of any kind, any sort of specialist, if you're going to see a doctor about any sort of health issue, if it's not something that, can easily be pinpointed with a test like diabetes, they can test your A1C and see
right.
if you're there. But if it's anything that
Which are,
requires a lot of investigation,
mm-mm.
they were likely to go look in your chart and say, "Oh, well, I see that back in such and such, you were diagnosed with depression or anxiety.
Right, right.
Now it's all
Or,
attributed to that. Now it's all in your head. You really don't have to
or,
do any work because it's probably just your depression that's making you feel bad." I thought that was
mm-hmm,
really interesting.
right, right. Or they'll say, "This has happened to me." They take everything back to weight. It's because you're not depressed.
Mm.
You need to lose weight. It's like,
Hmm.
oh my goodness. Yes, I know I'm overweight. I know I can stand to
Yeah,
lose a few
yeah.
pounds, but something else is going on. But
But that's not why I'm here today.
yeah, medical doctors aren't trained, right, for depression and mental health issues. They're just not. You have to go to a psychiatrist, go see a counselor, a therapist. And I'm not just saying
Hmm.
that
Yep.
because I'm a licensed counselor. I'm not just saying that, but you need someone who's been trained in, right, helping to support, to provide that support
Right.
and getting the help that you need. And
Right.
you maybe, right, because we talked about,
Exactly.
if you're a Jesus lover and you're a Christian, it may be going to talk to your pastor,
Hmm.
right? Um, I wish Pastor Boyd was on,
I wish he
but
would get on here.
yeah, so maybe it is going to talk to your pastor to see,
Hmm.
you know, um, how they can be a support. You gotta have a support system,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I don't
And
think there's enough.
that's what those scriptures are for.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and going back to the beginning when we were talking about men, I
Oh
just don't
no,
think there's
he
enough people
froze.
out here willing to support men. We expect them to have it all together, right? They shouldn't have any issues,
Yeah.
right? We don't, like we said earlier, they're seen as weak. They need to pull themselves up and do better.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have family members, anything like, I'm gonna say my mama, right, or that generation, I'm gonna say the older generation, black people didn't believe in going to see a counselor, going to see a therapy, going to see a therapist.
Mhm.
Go sit down somewhere.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Go sit down, take a nap. You
Mm,
think you're sad? You think you feel away? How about
right,
you get this whooping and then see how you feel?
right. Go and clean that kitchen. That'll make you happy.
Mm-hmm. Say, I'll give you something to take your mind off
You bored? You just
for
bored.
sure. Go pick your
So,
switch, and then we'll see. You're bored. I'll give you something to clean. Go
right,
outside.
right.
All of that.
But like I said, um, I think we're at a problem. So we got about 4 more minutes because I only wanted to stay on 30 minutes because I got to go cook. Miss
Four more
Alice, are you
minutes.
still on?
Okay.
What?
Is there anybody else here that wants to comment or add anything?
Yeah. I know Miss Alice said she was on.
This was asking me to connect to YouTube.
Hmm?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Let's see. Is she still here?
did you work today, Brandon?
Well, I'm wondering, what did I work today?
Yeah.
I did. It
What are
was
you wondering?
it's definitely work.
Mm,
I was gonna say, I wonder what we can do, just do our part to start to help to change that narrative. I know we talked about, not saying, oh, you're crazy, I'm crazy, and that's just my OCD. But other than that, I wonder, like, what's something that we could do that we could just actively share with people
right. My
that we could
goal,
implement
even
right now.
with my goal, and I know yours, my goal, even with starting this channel, is just to be able to, educate people, right?
Mhm.
To start to say it's okay not to be okay, that we all struggle,
Right.
right? And to, we, if we know someone may be struggling, that we need to, or maybe we don't know, we need to do check-ins just to make sure people are
Right.
okay, right?
Yeah, I
So,
definitely agree with that.
yeah. So the whole
Yeah.
goal is just to put the education out there,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So
Just try to be better in all your relationships. Be a better friend. Be a better
right,
sister, brother, cousin, whatever. Check
right,
in on your people.
right. Because it may not be, let's say,
I like that.
it could be a mental health, or I'm sorry, it could be a physical condition, even. If someone has cancer,
Hmm.
right, we don't judge them. Um, I
Right.
guess I want to see where people treat mental health issues like they would a physical issue, right?
Hmm.
So we
Listen
don't
and care.
we don't tell a person who has, cancer or diabetes or high blood pressure, um, we give them support. We give those individuals support. We need to give people who have mental
Right.
health issues, support.
Right. We don't
Right?
just
If
tell them what's
somebody's
in their
struggling
head.
emotionally, oh, I'm sorry. If someone is struggling emotionally, be there for that person. Offer them resources. Know what resources are in your
Right.
community, right? Yeah, help, especially
Right.
again, I'll say it. especially men, because our men are suffering silently.
Yeah.
They're silent,
Yeah.
silent sufferers, unfortunately.
Use the, like you said, use the resources you have.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And people need
Check in
to
on your people.
share resources, help people find the resources.
Yeah. So check in on your
Hmm.
people. Don't discount how they're feeling, how they're doing. If they're not doing good, talk to them, right? Because we don't want people out here unaliving themselves all because they didn't have somebody listening or somebody to talk to. So
Exactly.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
That is 100%.
yeah, so that's all I wanted to really talk about was because it is Men's Mental Health Month or Men's Health Month. I don't know if it's really mental health, but I know it's Men's Health Month.
Yeah. And
And
I think,
men, for the most part, don't like going to the doctors. I know, yeah, they don't like going to the
right.
doctor in the regular checkups, but they need
Hmm.
to do that. But if they need to get a checkup for their mental health too. So, anything else you wanted to say, Brandy?
No, I think that was it. I enjoyed this conversation.
I did. I wish more people were um, and commenting to let us know, um, what they think about the topic. Why is it easier for
Right.
for us to admit that, hey, Senna, how are you? Um, so we were talking about mental health. We were talking about mental health and how in our community, the African American community, and with men, how it goes. You know,
Oh, they're on YouTube.
Unfortunately, they're suffering
Gotcha.
um, silently, right? Either it goes unnoticed or
Mhm.
we don't talk about it enough. Has it gotten better? Yes, right? Because
Little.
over the years,
Oh, hey, family.
hey, love and action, over the years, um, you know, it's gotten better. And I'm going to say it post COVID, right? Um, it's it's talked about more in the African American community, but again, I still think we have a long way to go. A long way to go.
I
So
agree.
yes,
Yeah.
so
And COVID definitely brought stuff to light.
hmm hmm so what I'm gonna do, because um, don't hang up if this is Pastor on. Don't hang up. I am going to share the link. Okay.
Don't hang up.
Wanda, I am a psych nurse, so yes, it's gotten better, but more leaps and bounds are necessary. Yes. So I was going to say that, Senna, that you were a psych nurse, but I didn't know how much, um, you know, if you wanted me to share that. But yes, we do have so much further to go. So I'm going to put the link. Um, you should be able to see the link. If you click the link and you want to come up and you have something to say about this topic, men and mental health, or the stigma attached to mental health? Because we know there's a lot of stigmas with mental health. People are seen as crazy, dangerous. They fear being judged. Men being seen as weak, right? I'm hoping Pastor Boyd will come up.
Yes, we love to have your input.
Senna, I do have a question for you. Being a psych nurse, do you know? Because I had hoped to look this number up, but I didn't. Do you know, like, if there's a high percentage of men with mental health issues that unalive themselves, and then more specifically, do a lot of African American men unalive themselves because of untreated um, health issues? Again, the link is dropped if anybody wants to come up.
Please hop on here and join us for a few minutes.
So, Senator, did you hear my question? And you could be typing, but I'll repeat it. Um, do you know what percent of men unalive themselves because of untreated mental health issues? They don't have the support system. Yeah, I would think
Oh,
that
that's
too.
interesting.
Hmm. Hmm. So with African American men, would you say it's just, you know, it just goes untreated? What are some of the what are some of the what is it, side effects? What word am I looking for? The impact for African American men not getting support. Mm.
Yeah, that's an interesting statistic there.
So Love in Action says they'll say that it's getting better, and part of the reason, from my perspective, is because the Black church is starting to discuss the topic.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
Hmm.
And I see
And
the other portion are just toughing it out.
yeah, and speaking of the Black church, we need to talk about it more. We gotta talk about it more, right? Because a lot of people who think, well, I'm a Jesus lover, I should be able to pray, which is true, right? That
Hmm.
part is true. But I always say, I've said this 1,000 times, you can pray, but also go see a therapist. And again, I'm not just saying that
Hmm.
because I am licensed. Um, uh, yeah, they need to pray. We need to
That's
pray.
that faith without work. Got to
Right.
have the action behind it.
Mm. So one day I do want to have my daughter up here because so she's a licensed social worker, and she goes to therapy, and she wouldn't mind me saying it because she's very vocal about not missing her therapy appointments. So I'm not sharing anything that she wouldn't want me to share. Um, she and she'll say, I don't have. It's not like she's dealing with mental health issues, but just having someone that she can go and bounce things off of, or with her job, she's so much, you know, again in the social work field. Instead of taking those
Mhm.
things home, she'll go and you know talk to her therapist, right, about what she's feeling. So even if something isn't wrong, or see that language, something isn't wrong, because mental health issues aren't wrong, because you're not dealing with anything, you can still go see and speak with someone. So,
Exactly.
okay, so Cindy said, I've gone to therapy too, church, of course. Wanda, it's a spiritual battle. It requires, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. So, you know, I I consider myself to be, I always say, a Jesus lover, right? I believe in the power of prayer. I do. Um, God can do anything, but there's nothing wrong with going to therapy as well, right? And like Senna,
Mhm.
my daughter, she currently has a therapist, and she's currently in church, so she does both. Yes, there's also more training towards empathy for Black. Oh, there needs to be. So Senna says there's more training towards
It really
empathy
does.
for Black mental health patients and for the staff.
Mhm.
Hmm. And I won't do it, or unless you want to talk about it, Brandy, but we don't have to do it on this. But even to talk about self care, right? I think that would be a good topic.
Absolutely. I think that'll be a
Yeah.
good
That-
topic. Yes.
Maybe that'll be our next one that we do. Um,
Yeah, I think we should lock that in.
yes. So, Love in Action says, Amen. Pray about who and what professional therapist you need to see. Yes. Right. You don't want to just go to anybody. You want them to get the right fit.
Okay.
And sometimes it may be, you go to one, they don't work out. Not saying they're not a good therapist, they just wasn't the therapist for you. So,
Go to another.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody's not a fit.
Did you say something, Brandy?
Right. Everybody uses a different modality. You just
Right,
have to find the one that fits for you.
right, right. So, yep, yep, yep. So, Senator, do the trainings for, do you do the training for your staff? I believe with StreamYard there is a delay. So, Brandy, she said right on. Are you able to see the comments, Brandy?
I only see one new one. Sent a reply to Love in Action and said, absolutely. It's
Yep. And
lagging
then,
a bit on my end. I don't know about for you.
yep. And then on your end, she also, she agreed with what you were saying. Hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, That's it. Thank you so much. Cinna, thank you, Love and Action Ministries. And thank you, Mrs. Alice, if you're still here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, so again, I think the next time, well, we're gonna come on Thursday. We'll have a live Thursday. We'll have um, her name is Lisa, and she's a therapist, and she works for community mental health. Um, so we'll have her on with us. We'll and she'll talk about her experiences of working in the field. So that'll be Thursday at 7 o'clock. I tried to schedule it, Mrs. Alice, when I think your live is typically done. Um, it's usually done between 7:15. Hi, Real. Oh, Sinner. Yes. Um, Mental health is definitely a passion. Um, yeah, I just want people to get as much support and help as possible, right? I want people to be um, as well as they can be, right? We all struggle. Everybody has mental health. Um, some people struggle more than others. We need to, hi, SBK. So we were talking about, because this month, June is Men's Health Month, and we were talking about, unfortunately, unfortunately, African American men more so, in the Black community, you know, they, thanks real, they, they struggle in silence, right? It's either unspoken about, like I said earlier, or it goes unnoticed, right? Like they're expected to, you know, be men or stop acting weak. Um, and it is not, I can't say it enough, it is not weak. It is not, it shouldn't be frowned upon for a man to seek help, to seek support. So please, if you need it, please seek it. Please seek it. So, did anybody want to come up? I did drop the link. I'll drop it again. Let me know if you want to come up. If you have something you want to say on the topic, we would love to have you. I'm going to drop it again. I think I did it right. I think I did it right. I think I did it right. Um, yeah, so the question was, okay, Senna, I would love for you, especially because, considering you're a psych nurse, you understand what we're talking about, right? That this topic is not talked about enough, I don't think, and especially in the Black community or the Christian community, because if you're a Christian, you're supposed to pray about it, and everything will be okay. And again, yes, pray, definitely pray, but seek therapy too. So thanks, SBK. Yes, definitely sinner in the Christian community. Um, you know, like Love in Action said, you know, we're talking about it at our church, right? But I would like to see more churches talk about mental health. Unfortunately, it's not seen like a physical health, right? Um, yeah. So, all right, Brandy. Oh, real. Sorry, didn't see you.
Hello, Wanda. How are you?
Fine. How you doing, real?
Good, blessed.
Yes. Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Brandy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Vibing. I'm okay.
Yes.
So,
So,
Good.
real. Why do
yeah.
you think um, it's easier or it's difficult? I'm sorry, it's difficult for men in general to admit to mental health issues that they may be experiencing.
Okay. So, in my walks of life and being around like a lot of males, younger, older, colleagues, classmates, family members, and even one myself, I've seen this whole stigma behind men with this whole, if you want to call it a genre that they're stuck in as being weak.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to being either emotional or having a mental instability, because they go hand in hand. If you are not able to show your emotions as a man, because you're doing that for so long and not being able to vent, not being able to have proper care, not being able to have a proper shoulder to talk to or cry on, that can build up inside of a man and it can actually worsen and turn into mental health, mental instability if it's already there for it
Right.
to develop. So because men have to be seen as being put up on a pedestal as being kings and warriors and not soft, they don't want to address these things because of how society will point and poke fun and make fun or have disdain towards or uh, let's laugh at you, or you're not a real man, you're not a real king, you're not a real one because of these issues. And because of things such as this, it has caused great calamities even in society, where because people don't have the proper help or can't speak on it, or they get picked on, they go out and do mass what, or because they feel certain things are against them now. Oh, I'm a general of this country.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm angry. This is built up. I'm going to start a war with this country. I'm going to start a war with this village. Uh, so on and so forth.
It definitely comes out, right? Um, you know, the aggression.
Yes.
It
Yes.
it, it shows itself.
And if someone was able to help quell that thirst for that aggression, I think society could be a whole lot better. Um, I know for a short time I used to be like an assistant speaker along with this guy, like one of these pastors, and we would speak to like the youth, speak to the youth, and where they were locked up. This was years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that a lot of the men and some of the younger men, even when I was younger, back when I was inside my 20s, they still needed a shoulder to cry on, and so even some of the older men that were locked up. So I saw this and I'm like, even though they were so-called hard and hardened and had did all these crazy crimes and unalive and all this stuff, there was a side of them that wanted to be heard.
Right. Right.
And due to their environment of
Mm-hmm.
where they were raised at, or if you were from the hood or a certain place and you weren't allowed to show emotion, you
Mm-hmm.
you you survived, you lived off the Bible.
Right. right. And unfortunately, the men, not being able to share their thoughts, their feelings, right? What they were going through, the trauma. That's another topic,
Mm,
right?
mm,
The trauma that they experience, not being able to express that is the reason they're, behind bars and such.
right,
Hmm. Hmm.
right.
Yeah. So, so wait. Since I asked the question, hold on a minute, Rio. Um, Wanda, what do you think of the use of? What do I think of ADHD meds? So, a little transparency.
Thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, a little transparency. My two youngest sons, they're now 20 and 24. Yeah, 20 and 24. When they were younger, they um, the schools wanted to put them on meds. I didn't allow it, right? Because I feel like they always want to medicate our young boys when they're just being boys, right? Yes, they were a little rambunctious, but I don't think they needed to be on medication. So I think that it's used especially in schools because they expect these kids to sit so quietly, right? And I believe it's overused. Now, do some kids need it? Probably, yes. I'm not saying no kids need it, but I think it some kids are misdiagnosed, right? They want them to sit as quiet as a mouse and not, have opinions and not, ask questions or not be fidgety. I don't know. I think it's overused. What do you think, Real?
So, okay, coattailing off that subject, right? It's just mighty funny how you have to look for these studies too, but they're out there and they're proven that a lot of these, as I want to call them, like pokers or shots that we are obligated to take when we're younger. This shot, that shot, that shot, that shot. Data has come out and proven and said this that there's like I think it was a high number, well sub high. I think it was like 32 to like 47% in kids have developed either autism or ADHD from taking certain medications. I mean, sorry, not medications, pokers or shots when they was a kid. So if they know this data in certain things where people have to so-called take, because I know in other countries, such as like Mexico, South America, Africa, India, these people they don't take that stuff, and these people are still living just as long, and it's even more people, and it's crazy over there. So
Mm,
now these kids grow up, and because they have to take this, now you have to take this to combat this. But when you reach a certain age, your receptors are going to be burned out from taking ADHD medications, and now you're going to have to take something else like an antidepressant because now you didn't singe your synapses for your receptors that to calm you down. And now when you take that away for taking it for 10, 20, 30 years, now the person's going to be severely depressed.
right,
Now they got to take this and this. So, yes, some kids might need it due to some of the choices that some of the parents have made, but it's a catalyst that as you get older, one thing can lead to another and another. And I also look at it like this: in the 1400s, the 1500s, the 1600s, the 1700s, the 1800s, there was school and there was certain kids that couldn't listen and stuff. But guess what? We all made it to this point all the way from back then up until now. And I'm sure there were kids that were a little rambunctious, but there wasn't medication needed then.
right, right. Yeah,
So it's to each their own.
Yeah, it's overused. So I think that's Brandy. She says she want to share her experience as a parent.
Okay.
Yes, I had a similar experience, although I did decide to medicate, and I did tons and tons and tons of research, and I did decide to do a non-stimulant. I was very adamant on no stimulants for my daughter when it came to ADHD.
Mm,
And it's funny that he brought up, taking different medications. And I think you may have mentioned vaccines. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's a book that I recommend to people all the time, and it's called Healing the New Childhood Epidemics: Autism, ADHD, Asthma, and Allergies. Um, so if you're a parent that has vaccinated your child, who's given your child amoxicillin, penicillin, any type of antibiotic, they have asthma, allergies, ADHD, autism, read this book. It's eye-opening, and it talks about this doctor's journey in reversing some of these things. So just to wrap that up, I do agree that our Black children are targeted, pinpointed, and being, misdiagnosed. Um, I could go on and on and on. Um, Sometimes it's just a matter of their executive function. Um, I would say that all three of my children are highly intelligent, have excelled well above grade school average. Their school, they're in sixth grade, but they're reading at a 12th grade level, things of that nature.
mm,
Um, but a teacher may say, hey, they're not able to focus at the time that I need you to focus. So it's like, is that really ADHD? Or is it just kind of sucky to have to sit in the same spot for 8 hours a day when I'd
right.
rather talk to my friends, or because
Right.
I'm hungry and my blood sugar's low, or because I didn't like what you gave me for breakfast? So I'm crashing. So that that for me, that that expands in so many different uh, topics and areas. So forgive me if I'm all over the place, but it's something that I, as a parent, I've dealt with. My oldest is 22 years old, and we've run the gamut on different therapists. That's why I said you have to find a therapist that really jives with you. It wasn't until she was adult that she actually found a therapist that she liked. Um, and she was my kid that was fully vaccinated, had tons of antibiotics. And after reading that book, it was eye opening. It was so, so eye opening. With my youngest, I did delayed vaccinations. And I'm just kind of now coming back into, okay, well, we need this vaccination for school. We're going to do it reluctantly.
Mm,
So there's just all those topics for me are just so intertwined because they all affect one another. And like Real said, it's all about, the choices that you make. And I think the more we talk about it and the more we share information, we can just, help our community advocate for our children, because
right.
that's the biggest thing. And
Right.
I'm get off my soapbox now and let somebody else go.
No, it's
I
okay.
definitely will put it in the comments. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you derailed from the topic at all. Like I
No,
said,
not at
that was
all, Senna.
No, yeah, it's right.
Not at all. So I want to read this comment. Senna said, aggressively treated ADHD almost always turns into bipolar. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
99% of the time. Now she see it happening younger and younger.
And to go along with that topic, I've seen things where, again, with the whole school thing, after I had graduated college, I mean, not college, sorry, high school, I went back with a counselor where we were, it's like, those kind of schools where it's like the bad kids go to. So I was trying to get my hours for something, and I saw how those kids were. And sometimes there were kids who were even stuck inside certain situations or schools or districts or when I would do tutoring. And a kid could do one little thing good the whole year. And it's like the one day that they decided to just act out of turn or they were bored because it's like, oh, I finished my work. And then now it's like the teacher, called the parent and said, "Oh, something's wrong," and tried to get this young man to get his daughter on medication. And I just kind of thought it was crazy just after one day. And of course, that man he was very displeased and was causing up a storm. It was like, y'all not fixing to put my daughter. And he was correct because literally next week it was like she's fine. And people have to realize, you in certain grades when certain hormones start forming, these kids are gonna be like that. Like when young men, when they're in that 11, 12-year olds of age, and when they start to hit a certain point, they start to feel their hormones, they start developing more testosterone, and that's when they're, start to turn into a teenager. So
Right.
sometimes they're learning themselves. It's like, oh, where did this newfound testosterone come from? Where did this newfound strength? It's a transitional period, but then put them on medication, shove pills
Right.
down their throat.
And a lot of it is just the natural progression of things, right?
Yes.
Um, yes, Senna, you're right. It's called alternative schools. We have a couple here in the
Yeah.
city we live in. Unfortunately, this is a whole new topic, but they're getting ready to close the alternative school, which doesn't make sense to me. But and we do, Senna, we have to advocate for our kids. We have to advocate for our kids. So real, yes, good point. Hormonal changes have to be taken into consideration, and I don't think it is.
Of course, or even with young females, because for some reason now, I have children of my own, and I notice too, even with this like a young female, oh, she's acting out. But if she's like starting to develop, the red light thing, oh, she's something's wrong, acting up. That's another hormonal balance, for a female. Like, and it's absurd that these teachers are just very, I don't know if they're trained to listen, just anything you see here, put this on it, or they don't want to deal with it. So then they think this.
Right, right,
And, it could be an array of things. And sometimes I don't know how accurate this is, but sometimes I think it has something to do with diet too, like certain foods, like can it's a simple change of certain things because I think foods can make people act up. I don't know if that's true or not, but I have a feeling that I certain foods can make people, it messes with your mood,
right.
it can make you sad or depressed or something. I could be wrong, but I'm just like maybe it's a food thing too, and
Mhm.
try changing the food versus the whole putting on medication thing.
Yeah. So a lot of that, and I haven't read research. I haven't done the research. It's just and a lot of like things that I read. They talk about the red dye for ADHD. A lot of
Mhm.
kids have like red dye. So
You're right, and yeah, the blue footy and the yellow this, a lot of that stuff is banned in other countries. Like, and I personally know people that stay in England, and a lot of the stuff that we have here, they let me know that it's like that stuff, like
it's poison.
it's literally labeled poison, like the phenylenediamine and the phenylenicotronic that they put inside certain wines, the dyes, Skittles. Over there, it's a no. It's a no
Yeah,
no.
you cannot. That's why one the food tastes different, and we think, oh, that's there. It's nasty. What? Well, It's
Yeah.
better for you. We're just used to eating poison. Cindy said,
Mhm.
absolutely, food is a big one. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. So, we don't know what preserve. And see, that's the other thing too, right? If you look like, let's say, like a century back versus like now, the stuff and the preservatives that are being put inside food and the holders and the binders, right? We
Hmm.
don't know what that does long term. As like, okay, 40 years inside the future for someone who was consuming this when they were like 10, 11, or 12. This stuff wasn't around 40, 50 years ago.
Right,
Now this is introduced into the food chain to help preserve stuff, make the colors look better. Now, what are the long-term effects of these dyes, these binders, these preservatives, and these derivatives? What is
right,
it going to have, on someone's mental thing? Like we don't know. It's just like, oh well, we want the food to look good. We want this to look good, and it's just
right.
like,
Yeah. And real, I know you have because I've watched, some of your videos. Read the back of packages. You cannot pronounce those words.
right, right. I've yes. So some of my friends are like, well, not very few of them, but the very few friends that are into that kind of thing, they're like, if they can't read it, they're not eating it.
Yeah. I stay away from it, which I eat mostly fruit and vegetables anyway, because I don't eat meat. But yeah, I try to stay away from, and unfortunately, some of the protein powders and stuff, things that
Yeah,
I
it's
do for
hard.
protein, have like ridiculous things in it.
And it's just like occasionally, yes, I do eat certain bad things, but it's not a big habit. But once in a while, it's like, okay, I'll have this or a burger I do it occasionally, long as it's not all the time done because I'm aware of these things that do arise from this stuff being inside the food. And sometimes I don't even know if stuff is even real anymore because sometimes some stuff just be looking, I don't know.
Right, right. So Senna said, if you go to Europe, you will be surprised how packages look. On the food, how food packages look. It's a lot more healthy, and the expiration dates are much shorter.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It is. I've had apples that I've bought and literally 2 months later they haven't even.
it still looks the same.
Yeah, and I'm like, what in the world?
Right.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. So, because even with, and I know we are off topic now, but with my fruit, I literally have to go to the store like every other day, right? Because I try to buy organic, I try to buy fresh. So I'm going to the store at least 3 to 4 days a week to get my fruit. So,
Right, right. And this is why me and my family sometimes we grow our own stuff, and it's not to, oh, we wanted to eat healthy. It was just more like, okay, it's kind of like a tradition thing, and then it's I know how to do it, other people know how to do it, so we did it, and it's kind of like it saves money,
hmm hmm
during the season. And
yeah. So, and again, I follow you on YouTube. So I see that you have some things planted, and I'm waiting for my grow bags to come in from YouTube so I can put my plants out.
I know that's right. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people ask me how did I not talk about that before. I just didn't think anybody was into that, so that's why I never talked about it or posted it. But see, people,
Uh,
you know,
yeah, no, I, I'm very into it because one, it saves money. So I bought. Let me tell you what I bought. I bought a watermelon plant,
yes,
um, tomato, green pepper, and maybe cucumbers. Oh, cucumbers. For those plants, it was $17. You know how much vegetables I'm gonna yield, and it was only $17.
a lot, a lot, a lot.
So, hey Vaughn, how are you? Thank you for coming in.
Hey Vons, what's going on?
So make sure you hit the like button, please, 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 please. And do me a favor, share this. Because we had, I think, a really good conversation.
I know, right? I'm like, this is very, interesting. You're very like it's nice.
Yeah, talking about men's health, um, men's mental health, right? Health in the African American community, health as a Christian, as a Jesus lover, how you still need therapy. Yes, you love Jesus, yes. Pray,
Thank you.
yes. But if you need to, seek a therapist, do that. So
Yeah,
you'll probably hear me say that 500 times. Sometimes you need Jesus and a therapist.
and to back that up, it does talk about that, but not in the way we think of it. But it does specifically say also if you need to seek wise counsel, and but it's not talked about for some odd reason. Like it's brethren and sisters, help your brothers and sisters seek wise counsel. Because yes, we can pray and we can do this stuff, but we still sometimes have to still take a little step on our own too. Like to get things going.
Right. Right.
Like,
So,
like that's like we still need to eat. We still need to drink water. Like, we could still pray and do that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you don't eat or drink water, eventually you're gonna pass.
right. Right. So I put the link in again if anybody else want to come up and just share your thoughts on mental health. Again, we talked about mental health. We talked about ADHD. Um, so yeah, I shared the link if anybody else wants to come up.
And speaking of the mental health thing, see, like a lot of people, they might think that like my untraditional ways of my channel, it might be a little like offset. Like, well, you do this, you do this, you do this. Well, I have a lot of brethren who I do speak to, and they come to me and tell me, I do pray, I do this, but sometimes my motivation ain't there. Sometimes I feel, sad, and people really don't want to talk to me. And for you to be able to get up and talk about this or talk about anxiety and depression and ripping pieces of paper up and beating down, signs that say misery and negativity and jealousy, that can be uplifting to someone.
Right.
And it's like, if I know how it is for men's mental health, that's why I do it. And it's not I'm trying to appease anybody or this or that. That's just always been me, my personality. Like, you know, intellectual but jovial and funny and full of energy. It's
Right.
toned down, but I understand men's mental health, and I'm letting them know it's okay. Like, be you. Like, if I can come up here and make people laugh and act the crazy up here, but it's all in, because I'm not stupid. We're all not stupid. We know people have problems and issues and stuff up here. But if I can do a little something to make it better, and that's what my gift is, and
Right.
some people might think it's embarrassing, but you'll be surprised how many people come to me behind the scenes or leave comments on like early in my videos and tell me like, you know, thank you, brother, or this really made my day, or not too many people are doing is speaking on mental health, but I do it inside of a way where it's comical, but with
Hmm.
motivation,
Right.
and so that it can target certain things where it's like, I get it, I understand y'all. Like
Right.
I'm
Right.
so
I can imagine that people are coming to you, right? Saying, I get it, right? Or you get me, or
yeah.
something you said or something you did um inspired me to go get help, to seek help.
Yeah, and I didn't even expect that. Like that's just wasn't my thing. I'm just like, I'm gonna just do my part. And then, like I don't even gloat about it, or guess what, y'all, like I don't talk about it. I'm like, well, good. And you know and I don't ask for anything, and I don't be like, oh, here's my cash app. Like I just like some people have even come to me like, that's stupid and you're doing all this just for what, to be seen or something. I'm like, no. If that was the case, I'd be on every single day or I'd be begging and begging for handout, but I don't do that. Like I get it with people and it's like I will want somebody to do that for me, you
Right,
know?
right, right. Um, I don't know if you were in here when me and Brandy were talking earlier. One of the purposes, the reason I did this channel is because I want to educate. We want to educate people on mental health, right? On emotional health, on spirituality. Because some people aren't well spiritually. There are a few interviews. Well, we have a couple of interviews that we have the videos posted where people are sharing where they've struggled with their emotions, right? They've struggled with their spirituality. Um, so it's, not just mental health, but there's physical health, spiritual health, emotional health. So we want to tackle all those issues. And then again, trauma. That's a whole other beast.
Right. And I'm glad that you're doing this. You see, everybody, I always explain this, everybody's a puzzle piece, right? And everybody does their thing where your method of way can reach certain people. I mean I commend what you're doing. Like I like this is the kind of stuff that I like, and I kind of align myself with. Even though I do know some hood people, it don't matter. The fact that you're doing this, there's no clear cut way like, oh, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it. It's just like the fact that you're getting up and has developed your own system to come up here and put the stigma of, oh, I'm not just for women, but I'm thinking about men and their mental health too.
Hmm.
You know how amazing that is?
Hmm. Right, right. I want everybody to live their best life. Whatever. Hi, Janice. How are you? Oh boy, Janice.
And Janice.
Right. Hey, Janice. Um, yeah, I just want everyone to live their best life, whatever that is. Right. I just want everybody to live their best life.
And that's good. If God put that over you to help you to want to help people that live their best life,
Hmm.
that is exactly the type of thinking that I have. Because in addition to prayer, in addition to eating right, people still want to feel motivated. People still want to feel happy, because you can do all this stuff, but it all has to be balanced somewhere,
Right.
because nobody's just going to sit and just watch one thing and then say, this is the perfect way. No, you're going to watch something that motivates you. You're going to listen to some type of motivating music. You're going to listen to something. And if this person can't deliver it to you one way, then
Right.
guess this person right here resonating with what they're saying. This is, and that's how I look at it. And when everybody can join together and do their piece and their part, it's like excellent, And I'm glad this series of the men's mental health. The more that this can be discussed, the more that I feel, especially the African American male community, can be helped on this, and
Yeah.
to not shun one another. Because in other communities, like in the Caucasian community, they help each other out. They go grab a drink and what's wrong, bro, and let's go see the therapist. Inside the hood, it's you weak. Oh, you're not a man. You're this, and it's like no, like let's
Yeah.
speak.
Yes. And we got to stop that. And I say we, right? We have to stop judging these men for wanting to get help. We have to, you know, I said it earlier, it's not weak. It shouldn't be seen as, um, what's the word I'm looking for? It shouldn't be seen as a negative if they want to get help, if they want to seek support, right?
Right.
Men, and it start with little boys. Let them cry, right? Let them share their emotions. Let them be vulnerable. How I said what I said, So we're talking about June, for those of you that just came in, June is Men's Health Month. I keep wanting to say it's Mental Health Month. Brandy, if you can look that up, if it's Men's Mental Health Month or Men's Health Month, just health in general.
Hey, I said what I say.
Um, but yeah, so we're talking about men's health, but more specifically, men's mental health and how it's not weak.
I'll
Um,
double check for you.
yeah, how it's not weak to get help if they need it, to seek support if they need it. And again, especially in the Christian community, um, not if someone is struggling with their mental health, not being told that they only need to pray. Just pray about it. Just pray about it. Because again, yes, pray because prayer works. Prayer works. But also get help. So, and we talked about ADHD. So,
Yeah, bipolar, ADHD. Uh, what is the other one that starts with an S? I can't think of that name, but it's a bunch of them. But coattailing off what you said, I'm a strong believer in letting certain men or boys when they're younger crying, because when I've seen stuff like that as I'm growing up, if you allow a man to cry or a boy to live inside of his emotions somewhat, that person can develop into a person in society that is needed inside of an area that a person who wasn't taught to cry or speak on their emotions would not work. And we need those people there. So if certain people were crying and allowed to have their emotions, guess what? More than likely, they're going to become a doctor. They're going to become a nurse. That man's going to work in law because he was allowed to try and speak his emotions, versus a man who was taught to hide your emotions, you shield your mental, and now that man, okay, he wants to work inside of a warehouse. He wants to do the hardcore work where he's working, blue collar work. So when you meet these needs, each counterpart can sit in society as a different type of worker, whether it be blue collar or white collar. It's like you can't have somebody with too much aggressiveness. They're not going to enter certain fields. So each and every level has its quirks. You
right,
know, we need productive members.
right. So, Brenda, did you want to say something? I'm going to drop the link again in case somebody else want to come up and talk about mental health in the African American community and mental health in the Christian community. Brenda, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I was just looking up those statistics. I did put it in the chat there on YouTube about what June is highlighting for Men's Health Month.
So it is men's health. Oh, they
Addressing
talk about
mental
women's
health
health as well.
concerns. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to cut this short. I have to step on down, y'all. I got a little
Okay.
bit of things to do. But I definitely thank you for having me on. Thank you
Yeah.
for
Thank
allowing me
you.
to discuss this with you. And y'all have a blessed day, y'all.
You too. Thank you for coming up.
No problem. All right.
Yeah. So, anybody else want to come up? Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Brenda, you got anything you want to say? Because we're going to get ready to get out of here. So, Thursday, let me say this Thursday, we're going to go live again with um, a lady named Lisa. She is, Brandy, does Lisa have her L? Is she a counselor or is she a social worker? I believe she's a counselor.
I believe she is a counselor.
Okay. So, and she works for community mental health. So, we're going to have a conversation with Lisa. and that is on Thursday at 7 o'clock after Mrs. Alice, um, after her live. So please come on back. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button, please. And thank you. Thank you. Brandy, did you have anything you want to add?
No, I just appreciate everyone hopping in here. I appreciate all the comments. Um, Definitely gave us some additional things to hop on here and talk to you all about. So I just
Yes,
appreciate everyone's time this evening.
yes, because we're definitely going to talk about trauma.
Yes. Oh, and if you have a black man in your life, brother, cousin, husband, play cousin, friend, co-worker, reach out to him this month, check on him, give him some love, give him some encouragement.
Right. And, ask the question, are you okay? How are you? And be genuine when you ask the question, right? And not judge them for whatever they say. And know your resources, know where to send people if they're not doing okay, because it is okay not to be okay. So, yeah, so thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all 8 of you, and for the ones that have come in and left previously. Thank you. I do not take it lightly, and I'm sure Brandy doesn't take it lightly, that you've all took this opportunity to come and have this conversation with us, because again, it's needed. It's needed. And as Love and Action put in the chat earlier, they're talking about it at their church, but we need to talk about it more in the Black church. We're going to invite pastors to speak with us. Yeah, so there's more great conversations to come. So tune in Thursday, 7 o'clock. Anything else, Brandy? Nothing else? Going once, going twice. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Thank you. So after this music, the live will be over. And comment after the live, because I'm told it helps with the algorithms. So, and if you have any feedback for us, please leave it in the comments. This is my very first time. This is Brandy's very first time going live on StreamYard. Thank you to Mrs. Alice. So, yeah, if you have any feedback for us, if you have any topics that you think would make great conversation around health, mental health, around emotional health, around spiritual health, around wellness in general, leave them in the comments, because we would love to know. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.